Bangkok's Old Town is famous for its grand temples, royal palaces and historic landmarks, the sights people come to see first. But tucked between these landmarks are several parks, which perhaps deserve a visit in their own right. Each Old Town park has its own character. Some provide spaces to play, others are carefully landscaped gardens, and a few barely seem like parks at all. For tourists, many of these spots may offer a welcome pause, a chance to rest your feet or let the kids run around for a while after a day of sightseeing. With that in mind, let's explore what you might find if you decide to visit any of these spaces, starting with the park closest to where I live. Santi Chai Prakan Park sits at the northern edge of the Old Town, right where the city meets the river. Inside the park are two standout landmarks, a traditional Thai pavilion, and Phra Sumen Fort, a defensive structure built in the late 18th century during the reign of King Rama I. The park seems to get its fair share of visitors, perhaps because the fort shows up on many must-see lists, and I pass through here a few times per week now, as it's very close to where I live. One of the best things about this park is its riverside view. It's a great spot to sit and watch the boats pass by. A lot of people stop by to take selfies here with Rama VIII Bridge in the background, but I prefer to sit quietly and photograph the fishermen. If you come here as often as I do, you sometimes catch something unexpected, like a tree surgeon high up in the branches, working with no ropes, no barriers, and seemingly no worries. But the main thing on my mind whenever I'm here is to try to get a decent shot of Phra Sumen Fort. You would think photographing a building would be easy, but there's always something. Grey skies, a crowd in the way, a lizard wagging its tail and stealing the limelight. Eventually though, I get an image that I'm happy with. What I like about the building is how asymmetrical it is. It's made up of two heptagons inside an octagonal base, and it has uneven faces that don't quite align. I think the building looks completely different from every angle, and there must be 100 different ways to photograph it, which I suppose gives me 100 reasons to keep coming back. Santi Chai Prakan isn't the only park in the Old Town to feature one of Bangkok's old forts. You'll find the other if you head east and go to Pom Mahakan Park. This park is situated between two major landmarks, Wat Saket to the east and Wat Ratchanat Dharam to the west. The small park runs just alongside the fort. At one time there were 14 forts standing guard around the city, but now only 2 of them remain, Phra Sumen and this one. In front of the fort is another structure that I quite like. I'm not sure what it was originally built for, but it looks unused now. The details are a bit worn, but that gives it a rustic charm. I think it would make a nice backdrop for a photo shoot, and I figure it's worth highlighting its appeal now, before city planners come along, plaster everything over and paint it beige. As someone who is relatively new to Bangkok, it feels a bit strange to speak about this place. I'm aware that for over 200 years, this area was home to a wooden house community that was gradually and controversially cleared out. That process only finished in 2018, so for many that must still be a fresh memory. But I only know this space as the park that it has become. It's been landscaped since, but for me, the place hasn't quite come to life yet, maybe because it's so new. Whenever I visit, I find myself more drawn to the ancient trees and to the reflections of old buildings in the adjoining canal than to the park itself, looking outward rather than looking inward. Maybe this park just needs time to grow into its new identity, and to grow on me. Just down the road is Romaneenart Park. Unlike the previous place, which is a narrow, thin walkway squeezed between motorway and canal, this park is a large green space with open fields for playing. It has a skate park, a playground, and perhaps one of the best outdoor gyms in the city. It's a great spot to let the kids blow off steam after a day spent visiting temples and museums, places where they've likely had to stay too still for too long. While it may be one of the livelier parks in the Old Town, it might not be the most picturesque, and perhaps that has something to do with this area's past. This spot was once the site of Bangkok Remand Prison, which was relocated in the early 1990s to make way for this park. The new green space was opened in 1999 to celebrate King Rama IX's 72nd birthday. Several watchtowers from the old prison are still standing here, most of them lining the walls along the sides of the park. One of them stands at the center of a pond at the park's edge. I've tried capturing it from different angles, watching how the light shifts across its surface and how the reflections change depending on the time of day. It's strange to think that a site once meant to hold people captive is now a place where people living in cramped city dwellings can visit to roam freely in an open space. And it's very surprising to me that a place with this history would become one of the more fun parks in town. As I mentioned, if you're a tourist looking for a place to bring the kids, this is a good choice, especially if you visit at the end of the school day. And if the kids behave badly, you can always remind them that they might end up in prison. It would be remiss not to mention Sanam Luang, a large green space right in front of the Grand Palace, since a quick glance at any map might lead you to believe this space is a park. But it's really a ceremonial ground, a civic space used for royal processions, state events, and public celebrations. When major events take place here, it's certainly worth a visit. The rest of the time, there isn't much to see, and if you come here hoping to take photos, well, you might be a little disappointed. Nearby, right across the road from the Grand Palace, and almost hidden in plain sight, is one of my favourite escapes in the Old Town, Saranrom Park. It's a beautifully landscaped park, complete with ornamental gazebos and elegant footbridges arching over still ponds. The park is not nearly as large as Lumpini or Benjikiti, and perhaps that's why it's often overlooked. But in terms of atmosphere and detail, I think it's one of the prettiest parks in the city. Originally, the park was a private garden connected to Saranrom Palace, a royal residence built in the 19th century. I once read that Henry Alabaster, a British diplomat who served as an advisor to the Siamese court, helped shape both the palace and these gardens, introducing European ideas and Western-style landscaping into the design. Perhaps that's why this park has a distinctly European feel, with gently winding paths, ornamental fountains, and decorative pavilions. I always feel quite at home here, as the style reminds me of the gardens that I visited in England and across Europe. But while it borrows from European design, there are also some reminders that this place is deeply rooted in Thai history. One of the most poignant spots here is the memorial to Queen Sunanta Gumarirat, the Queen Consort of King Rama V, who in 1880 died in a boating accident along with her child. Though the park is small, there is much to see here, with many serene retreats that will help you forget that you're in the heart of a bustling megacity, and just steps away from the city's most visited destination. Given its proximity to the Grand Palace, I always expect to see more people here. But I suppose that, after hours of wandering the palace under a hot sun, most would prefer to seek shade and rest, rather than extend their outing with a walk in the park. On this visit, the rain comes as I near the end of my walk. In the rainy season, the weather turns quickly. 1 minute it's still water and blue skies, and the next I'm running for cover. Sheltered beneath the gazebo, I watch the sky blur to grey as the rain falls harder. Half an hour passes. In times like this, when there's nothing to photograph and nothing to film, it seems to me that there's nothing else to do but dance. Once the rain eases, I head towards the final stop on this tour, the Chao Phraya Sky Park, an elevated walkway built on an old bridge. While the area nearby looks green on a map, in fact it's mostly concrete, with a long plaza leading up to a monument of King Rama I. And this place is more of a walkway than a park, but is nevertheless worth visiting for its panoramic views of the river and the city's skyline, including Memorial Bridge. While the rain might make others head for home, I've learnt that the rain always clears Bangkok's pollution and that the best sunsets often follow a storm. Once the rain finally stops, I stand and watch the sunset, and then, turning around, I'm surprised to see a rainbow stretch across the river. It's moments like this that make a day out at the park feel worthwhile.